Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. We're producing this episode for GoodCrowd.info, and our guest today is the CEO of BankRoll, a new crowdfunding site leveraging the power of Regulation A+. This is really an exciting topic. Our guest is Kendall Almerico. Kendall, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Devin, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this exciting new law.
This really is exciting, and I think what's happening here is that we've been talking about investment crowdfunding really with great enthusiasm as a country in the entrepreneurial world since the Jobs Act passed in 2012. I mean, it's over 3 years ago, and Title III of that act, which governs crowdfunding, has never been implemented by the SEC. And now they promised to do that by October of this year, and I have no reason to doubt them, but this spring they implemented the Title IV rules, which had not been the topic of much discussion much before they came out, but these rules came out with some provisions that people have really felt were really quite favorable, almost surprisingly so. Walk us through Regulation A+ and what it is.
Sure. And Devin, you're right. The only reason, let me backtrack for a second and talk about Title III. That's what everyone was excited about. This is where people thought you're going to have what in essence looks like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and you're going to be able to go online and buy stock, ownership, equity in a company. It was really the part of the Jobs Act everyone was most excited about. And as you said, we're looking at maybe October of this year before we actually see it now. Although, just a little tidbit of information, the SEC now has it listed for final action in April of 2016. So we may not be seeing it. Not the first time we've had this happen, so who knows? None of us know. So they did come out with the final rules for Title IV, which is this other part of the Jobs Act that deals with what I call a mini IPO or Regulation A+, which in essence is crowdfunding. You're going out to the crowd, you're getting funding from the crowd, you're getting smaller amounts of money from large numbers of people. But the magic part of Regulation A+, or the mini IPO, is a company can now raise up to $50 million, not just $1 million, which is what's allowed under the other part of the law that we're still waiting to go into effect. So you have the general public you can go to, just like with the crowdfunding Title III part. You have the ability to raise money online. You have the ability to generally solicit, meaning going out and advertising your offerings. But you as a company now can raise $50 million, not just $1 million. So this is, to me, when I read this back in 2012, from day one, I've been talking about this being the real magic bullet, not Title III. I can't be more excited about this law going into effect.
Kendall, is there, in this law, under these rules, it seems to me that you like to talk about this as a public offering, and that's the way I have always thought of this, as a small public offering. And it is exciting to think about having relatively small companies going public again, because that's the way the world worked when you and I were young.
Right.
When we were starting our careers, that's what happened. And then over the last 20 years, the SEC has slowly, and the Congress has slowly ratcheted things back to make it so difficult to go public that only very, very large companies, Facebook being the prototype or the archetype of the new world that we live in, go public when they have a $100 billion valuation.
Right, right.
And to think back, we could go back to the days when companies go public when they have a $50 million or a $100 million valuation is very exciting.
Sure.
And makes perfect sense. But it seems to me that part of what can go on here is that if you do a relatively small Reg A plus offering, that you don't become public automatically. Right. You can use this and stay and remain a private company. Am I thinking about this the wrong way? If you have few enough shareholders and raise, I guess it's really the shareholder trigger more than anything.
Yeah, it's really a tricky thing because people use these terms without really knowing what they're saying a lot of times when they say go public. And quite frankly, it can have different meanings. So, backtracking, you're right, Devin. This is not a full-blown IPO where you're now traded on the New York Stock Exchange and the Merrill Lynches of the world and the Goldman Sachs of the world are doing deals and having their brokers sell it. This is a smaller company being able to go sell stock to the public. So in that sense, it's going public. But you don't have all of the registration and reporting requirements with the SEC that cost millions of dollars for any company to do. When you go through a Regulation A plus raise, you have some reporting requirements. So some of your financial records, some of the things you do are going to become public record, which kind of means like you're a public company. But I think, Devin, what you're getting at is that most people consider being a public company when you're traded on an exchange, when you're on NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange or one of the OTCs, and you have the option with Regulation A Plus to not do that. So you don't have to be traded. The stock that you sell is tradable. It is liquid. You can sell it immediately if you design it that way. You can go on one of these exchanges if you qualify, but you don't have to. So I usually refer to it as you being semi-public, if there's such a term.
Well, really the answer isn't so much that you are either public or not, or is that you get to choose. That's really kind of the exciting thing under Regulation A, and it isn't necessarily, I guess I think of it as yes or no, but it's a spectrum of public, right?
Absolutely. You know what else I love? You do the same thing I do. I tend to abbreviate this to Reg A or Reg A plus, and then people think I'm talking about Bob Marley when I say Reg A or Reg
yeah,
plus.
that's right.
I have to stop myself from doing that because people are like, what, Reg A? What is this? Where are we in Jamaica?
Yes. I was thinking about exactly that issue last night, but I haven't broken the habit yet of talking about Reg A in terms of the Regulation A or A plus.
Dreads next time that we do one of these.
Yes, we should wear dreads whenever we talk about this. So this really is exciting. So now tell us about BankRoll and how you're leveraging this new regulation.
Sure. Well, for 3 years since the Jobs Act was written, I've been waiting for the opportunity to either use Title III, the equity crowdfunding rules, or Regulation A+, I didn't say Reg A, Regulation A+, to allow people to do something online to raise money. And now that Regulation A+ is out there, we opened up BankRoll, which is found at BankRoll.ventures. It's not .com, it's BankRoll.ventures, where a company can come online, set up a campaign, raise money through a licensed broker-dealer and the investment banks and all the people we have behind the scenes that are all regulated by FINRA, so it's all done above board. But you can actually come online. You can it looks like a Kickstarter campaign or an Indiegogo campaign. You have a video, you have a description, you have a little button that people push and they invest. It all gets done online. The paperwork is done online. People that are used to donating on one of the rewards sites, you go on GoFundMe, you click a button, you swipe your credit card. It's not quite that easy. You're buying securities, you have to sign documents, but it's all done online. DocuSign everything, everything's done officially. Money is transferred online. You never have to leave the site. You can buy stock, you can sell stock, you can invest in these companies at a stage you were never allowed to do before. And that's, to me, just the most exciting thing that I can imagine.
It really is. Now, let's talk about some of the realities of the new regs and your platform. I want to get into brass tacks just for a minute.
Sure.
What does it take in terms of cost? You're gonna need a lawyer, right? You're gonna need to have audited financial statements in some circumstances. What are they? What are the other costs up front and at the end? Walk us through what it costs. I mean, I hate to get there.
Oh, no.
But that's the key thing, right?
This is the first conversation I have with people. I'm getting 20 to 25 calls a week from people that want to do one of these raises. And the first thing I do, besides listening to what their company's about and business plan, as I said, you have to have a securities lawyer involved because this is filings with the SEC and you have to do it the right way because you're dealing with securities laws. If you do it wrong, you go to jail. This is not something you play around with. This isn't putting something up on Kickstarter that you created in your garage, a little widget, and now you're going to go sell it to people that you haven't even made it yet. That's not going to work for this. You have to have a legal team to do this. You have to have accountants because you have to have, in most cases, 2 years of audited financials. Now, if the company hasn't been in business for 2 years, you don't have to have 2 years of audited financials. But the most important part, and the part that people forget about, and the part that I emphasize to people right up front is you have to have a marketing budget. A normal IPO, you brought up Facebook, and I use Facebook as an example every time. You couldn't buy Facebook stock at this stage. You and I, the general public, we didn't have access to Facebook stock until they went public with their full-blown IPO. By that time, the Goldman Sachs of the world and the Wall Street people of the world had already traded this stock, sold it to their best customers, sold it to the rich people at a much lower price than what it went public for. And then when it went public, those people made a fortune. So you're now in at that stage with these companies where you're investing in the company before it's really gone public and having the ability to get in at an earlier stage. So all of that, the big difference when it comes to marketing is you don't have Goldman Sachs. You don't have Merrill Lynch pushing this stock out to people. You're a company trying to raise money. You're the one doing this. You're the one who has to push it out. It's no different than a Kickstarter campaign or an Indiegogo campaign. If you don't have a marketing plan in place to get the word out, to push the word out to the public, putting it on a site like BankRoll where they'll help you do that, but you're going to have to push this and market it, and that's going to cost money. When you're trying to raise 10 grand on Indiegogo, you don't need a lot of money to push that out. When you're trying to raise $10 million on BankRoll Ventures, you need a marketing budget. And so the three things people have to remember is legal, accounting, and marketing. And the marketing is the one they don't think about. Basically, average, to give you a number that I've published many times, you don't have about $100,000 to be able to do this. It's probably, you're not at the stage yet where you're going to be able to use this law. Now, there are variations for that. We've come up with a way on BankRoll where we can help people out in certain circumstances, but there's going to be, this is not a freebie for anybody. There's going to be money up front. Yeah.
This is really exciting, though, because it creates an opportunity for companies to raise money at earlier stages before than ever before they could. Well, at least it's been decades since an offering like this really worked.
Yeah. What's funny about it is, and not to interrupt, but you hit the nail on the head. For decades, people could do this. And now they can't. They couldn't for a while. Only the rich, only accredited investors, only the wealthy and powerful were getting in on these companies at the early stage. Now, everybody out there can go on BankRoll.Ventures and invest in one of these companies as soon as the SEC lets us start selling these, which is coming soon. As soon as they approve these, you can come on and buy into these companies at an early stage, which, by the way, everyone should know, these are early stage companies. There is a risk involved with any investment, but certainly with earlier stage companies, there's more risk. There's also the potential for more reward. You're getting in at a lower valuation, and if you're smart, it's just part of your investment portfolio. It's just a new way to have something in there that's something exciting to follow.
Yeah, the early stage investments, even for venture capitalists, ends up being only a portion of their portfolio, and then they diversify that portfolio as much as possible, right? So that's kind of a strategy for dealing with the risk, right? To keep this portion of your portfolio small and to diversify it.
Absolutely. And if you're going to, I tell people, if you're going to invest in startups, diversify in the startups, put a little bit of money in 10 of them if you want to. Don't put all of it into one. You'll see how they're going. And, like these in the venture capital world, it's funny. Every VC that I talk to, they basically say, we invest in 10 companies. We think 8 of them are probably going to go, nowhere or down. One of them is going to be average and one's going to be a home run. And that's how they make their money. So, those 8 that go or go down, that may well happen with these stocks too. But if you get the 1 out of the 10 that's the home run, it can be a really great investment for people.
Yeah, and that can save your portfolio. Tell us a little bit about how the investors will experience your offering. So you've got an offering that you're queuing up right now. What will be the minimum investment? What's the process for an investor going through and figuring out whether they want to get into this deal with Starshop? That's right.
Well, we actually have several that are coming up. We only have one on the site right now because Starshop, which is a celebrity-driven mobile application you can get on your cell phone, where you have celebrities coming on with videos, and the celebrities are selling products to, products they endorse or products that they own. And fun videos, they're kind of like viral fun videos. They're not like these, you're not on HSN going, check out my blender here. It's really a pretty cool product. bottom line is, if you're an investor, when this is allowed to be sold, which right now, again, paperwork is being filed with the SEC. The SEC has to approve all the paperwork. And when the SEC approves all the paperwork, you'll be able to go online, watch the video, read about the company, look at all the documents that were filed with the SEC, everything's there. You'll be able to look at everything, do your due diligence, research the company, but then you'll be able to click a button, put your name in, put your address in, and do the same things you would be doing if you were buying a stock on E-Trade or one of the stock trade or any of those. The same type of process. You fill in your information, you either wire the money, you ACH the money, it all goes through the site. It's very simple. Everything is signed on the site. You never leave the site. You don't have to wait for somebody to mail something to you or whatever. It's all done, and then boom, it goes into an escrow account. Stock is issued to you, and it's over. It's really a painless process. You bring up, though, StarShop as an interest. How is it that people, a company like StarShop is out there, they're doing very well already, they're out there in the public, they're on tens of thousands of phones already. It's great for a consumer-facing product like that to use this law, because people actually can go, wait, this is the company that had that huge article in the New York Times last Friday, which they did, or this is the article that their founder yesterday was on Closing Bell on CNBC talking about this. Those kinds of things, it's fun, people can get excited about it, but there's plenty of other great companies out there that are doing these types of raises that have nothing to do with that really exciting forward, there's, cancer detection companies and companies that are biotech companies and broadband companies and things that are all over the place. And so the variety of what you can invest in here is great, but you also get to do that Kickstarter thing where you can see a video and read about it. It's not, here's this ticker with a symbol. I don't know what that means. Now I hear some guy screaming at me on TV about this. No, this is, you can sit there in your living room, you can look on your phone, watch it, watch the video and go, this is something I think is cool. Let me put in $100 or $50 or whatever the minimum bid is that people are asking. It depends on every case what that is. Every company prices it different. But the ability to do that sitting in your room, like me wearing my Garanimals, watching TV, eating my Fritos out of the bag, that to me is just, it's incredible. It's just incredible.
This is a game changer. This is really exciting. Now, you have been very successful in your career, and you have become a real role model, something of an icon in the crowdfunding world. Who do you look to in turn for inspiration? Who's your role model?
Well, other than my father, who was probably the hardest and still is alive and kicking, the hardest working man I've ever known in my life, but always made time for his family and always was there for us. And, learning those types of lessons of, you gotta do what's right in the world, and you gotta do, you and I both, Devin, and I'll toot your horn also. From the very beginning, we've been out there not just talking to people in the crowdfunding industry and trying to explain to other people that want to open up portals or type of thing. You and I have gone out there and talked to everybody. I've spoken in front of conventions of inventors, city planners. I went down to Aruba and Curacao, was invited to speak to their chambers of commerce to introduce them to crowdfunding. These types of things, spreading the word about this to me is the key. And I have to toot your horn also because you've done the same thing. I love educating people about this, not because, look, I like making money like anybody else, and it's great if people come to BankRoll Ventures, BankRoll.Ventures. It's great if people use the site. But the fact is, I want the general public, the American people, to know that this is where Wall Street meets Main Street. This is where you actually can invest in these things and get a little piece of the, get a little piece of flesh back from Wall Street. And to me, that's what this is all about. It's that ability to go out there and say, I get to be a part of the American dream here for somebody and for myself, which you just haven't had the ability to do. I applaud Congress and I applaud the SEC for getting this one right. They really did this well.
So is it the opportunity to help other people that motivates you? You could be doing anything. You could be on Wall Street. You could be, practicing law in 1,000 ways. Why are you doing this?
Sure. No, it's a great question. I've always helped businesses get started, and then I've always helped them grow, and I've always helped them from that very point of I've got an idea all the way to whatever it went to. And then in 2007, when the banks stopped lending money to small businesses, I have been looking since then for a way to to get that excitement level back where I can help people start businesses. And I knew that this is what this law was all about. So I have plenty of time to do all the other things. This weekend I was down in Tampa, Florida, and helped open up a spinal cord rehabilitation center for a quadriplegic Green Beret veteran who he and his wife, I raised the money for them, obviously pro bono, raised the money to help them open the center up, brought in corporate sponsors. Now they have a world-class rehab facility that a quadriplegic who took a bullet in his neck by the Taliban, for you and I and everyone else out there, now he and his wife are running a facility to help other spinal cord injury, not just military people, anyone. That's why I love this. Without crowdfunding, that never would have happened. Without great corporate sponsors, that never would have happened. But it's sitting at a dinner table like I did with Romy and Gabby Camargo in their house a year ago, and having them, Romy in his wheelchair, paralyzed from the neck down, say, I want to open up a spinal cord rehabilitation center with my wife. And seeing that go from that stage all the way to forming the 501c3, raising the money, crowdfunding it, shooting videos, doing all the things, to walking into literally a world-class facility that Toyota put their name on along with them. That's what this is all about for me. Yeah, I love making money. I'm not going to lie. I'm a capitalist. I want to make money. But I also want to see small businesses, because that's what our country is made of. I want to see small businesses succeed, and this gives small businesses the ability to succeed.
It really is a game changer, and I feel and share your passion, Kendall. Now, there are a lot of different people watching this show, and they come from all walks of life and have a variety of interests. But I think everyone who watches the show has one thing in common, and that is a desire to do more good, to have more impact. Can you give us one tip for having more impact, doing more good in the world?
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail. The one thing people, I say over and over, listen, I've done a lot of things in my life that didn't work, but I've never been afraid of taking the chance. And to help people, listen, to go out there and put my name on something like BankRoll Ventures and say, I'm going to help people raise money, I'm throwing my name out there. I'm throwing my reputation out there. If something goes wrong, I'm on it. But I'm not afraid of that, And anyone who wants to help people and do good in the world, you've got to be able to put yourself out there and not be afraid to fail. Do it. Just do it. Nike said it best. Just do it. Go out there and make it happen. Don't think, oh, what if this goes wrong? Just do it.
That's great advice. Great advice. Well, Kendall, thank you very much for being with us today. Before you go, remind us of how we can get in touch with you, how people can follow up, learn more.
Sure. Well, you can obviously go to www.bankroll.ventures, as says below me on the screen, but you can also email me at any time at kendall@bankroll.ventures. And there's no .com in there. It's just kendall@bankroll.ventures. But I'm on Twitter at Kendall Almerico. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on everything. So you can find me at Entrepreneur Magazine. Anyway, I'm all over the internet. If you Google me, it's hard to miss me. I'm everywhere.
Kendall, thank you very much for being with you. We wish you every success.
Thank you, Devin, and best to you. Great program.
All righty. Let's do some good.